Good morning. Welcome back to the art table. This is where I left off with whatever I was doing the last time I was in here. Had nothing to do with the last video. But I just kind of like turning the camera on and letting you see what's going on my table at the moment before I start making a video. I'm going to make a video today that has nothing to do with anything on the table. This is a brush that finally fell apart. And you know what that means. When something breaks or falls apart, it becomes mark making tools. So now I have all these little mark making tools, and there's going to be some paper making in the future. I was thinking of using the handle for something, making a mark making tool out of it. So that's going to go in my mark making toolbox. This is not done. This is just something I'm playing around with while I was talking to a friend on the phone. This is a canvas that I started working on that I didn't get any further, and then all the paint that I was playing with. So let me clean up my table and then I'll tell you what we're going to actually do today. Okay, got my desk cleared up. This paper that I've been working on, this is just newsprint. It is shaping up to be a really lovely background. I like this. And y'all aren't going to talk me out of cutting this one, so don't even think about it. When it's full, we're going to cut it. All right, this is what I want to do today. I know. You're like, what? These are little patterns that I have drawn up for little kitty cats. And I'm going to use these fabrics. I just pulled these little fat quarters out of the drawer. So all I want to do today is show you how I come up with my pattern. It's really easy. I just sit and sketch until I get what I want. And I just start sketching, and I start with maybe the body and the neck. I kind of decide how I want the neck, how I want the body, come around with the head, and go ahead and make your head the size you want. It doesn't have to be even on both sides because you're going to pick the side you like the best, and you may not be able to see this yet, so come on down, make your body. Just decide how big you want it, and then add your ears in. Okay, then decide which side do I like better. I tend to like my left side better every time I sketch out something. It just seems to flow smoother, it just seems to look better. So I'll take my cat. I shouldn't have done this in the middle of the paper because I kind of wasted some paper, but we'll use it for something else. I'm going to cut it out closer to the shape or the size. Kind of pick the center-ish. And then I'm going to fold it in half. And then I'm going to cut out the side I like. So this is the side I like. I'm going to cut that side. If you like this side, cut this side. And then both sides will be more even. Although they will not be perfect, they'll be closer. And if you're really concerned about it, you can really fiddle with it and finagle with it. But you know how I am. If you don't know how I am, if you're new, welcome. You'll learn. And I'm just going to go around the shape. And I might tweak it as I go, like I'm not quite going on the line, I'm going a little bigger because I thought maybe I want a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to cut it straight across the bottom. I can always round it off and box it off later. Okay, so then there's my cat shape. Let's put it on a piece of fabric so you can see it. There. Okay, so that's all I do. All right, so I'm going to play with the shapes I've already got. And I'm going to take the fabric. Let's start with one of the ones I don't like the most. This is one I don't like the most, although I do like it. It's very pretty. I'm just going to open it up. There's cardboard in here. Let's take that out. All right, so then I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to put it right sides together and find a section to use. And I'll just get close to the edge so I don't waste too much. And let's try this big one. And I'm going to sit it down on my fabric, and I'm going to leave a little room on the edge for stitching. And I'm just going to take a pencil or a pen, whatever you can use that will mark your lines so that you can see it. And if you want to iron out your little creases, go ahead. I don't worry with it. And I'm going to put little dashes to represent my stitch lines around my cat. So now I have my stitch lines. Can you see that? I have my stitch lines. So now that I know where I want to stitch, I'm going to pin my cat a little bit so that the fabric stays together while I cut it out. Then I'm going to cut out my little square. You can do this before you trace your pattern, but I didn't. Just cut it past your lines. Okay, so now I have a smaller piece to work with. I don't like that fold popping up, so I'm going to pin that down so it doesn't get in my way. To turn your cat inside out to stuff it, you're going to need an opening. So you decide in advance, do I want to leave my opening at the bottom so I can turn my cat inside out, stuff, and stitch closed? Or do I want to stitch all the way around my cat and then make a slit and then turn it inside out and then stitch the back? Probably I will stitch around the entire cat and then make a slit, like right here. I would make a slit right there. You can leave openings down here if you want to. That's optional. But I like the idea of doing that. Then I can always cover it with a patch, or I can put a little skirt on her or something like that. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to go around my cat and stitch it closed, and then we'll be back here at the table. Okay, I've stitched around my cat. So I'm going to cut my cat out, cut the excess fabric, leaving a little bit of a seam allowance. Then I'm going to clip into my little corners just a little bit. Don't break the stitch line. And I kept the black thread in my machine. I didn't change it out because it didn't matter. This is kind of a prototype anyway. So now I want to put a little line here to turn my cat inside out. So I'm just going to pull the fabric apart. And find an area that I want to snip to make my opening. Snip it right here. Then I'll stick my scissors in and I'll cut a little bit up there and a little bit down. And then I want to turn my cat inside out, and you might need something to help you stick through your tips of your ears to help you turn your fabric. We'll see when we get there. I'm looking around for something right now. All my sewing stuff's at the other table. I don't usually sew at this table. I'll use the end of a paintbrush and see if I can get the ears to poke out the way they're supposed to. And be careful, don't push a hole through your fabric. I've done that many times. Just round out the sides. All right, there's our little cat. So cute, actually very cute. You can decide in advance, do you want eyes on your cat? If I was going to put buttons here, I think the next cat I would go ahead and pre-sew them on the one side of the cat before I stitch it together, just to make it easier on myself. I could probably do it now, but I think I'm not going to. I'm just using regular polyfill stuffing. You can get it at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or places like that. I'm going to do the head first so I can push some stuffing up into the ear. I do need something to push the stuffing through that's not going to slide like the end of a paintbrush. This may be too big, but it is a stuffing tool that came in the bag. I just don't use them very often. All right, then you have to just be patient and gentle and work your stuffing up into the little small places. Okay. And you could, if you wanted to save yourself some trouble, instead of trying to stuff stuffing up into your ears, or even after you put a little stuffing in your ears, you could go back to your sewing machine and stitch down your ears right there, and that would hold the stuffing in. I'm not going to. It would also give the ears a little bit more dimension, a little more shape, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I was thinking of making some of these to hang on Christmas tree. If I was going to do that, I probably would have stitched my loop in here. I have to keep jumping up and letting my dogs come in. They keep pushing the door open, but they don't shut it behind them. Okay. So, as I was saying, I would have added my loop for hanging into the seam as I sewed around rather than adding it later. You can add it later, but it would be easier or look nicer, more finished looking if you added it while you were stitching your cat together. I enjoy fabric so much. I have said many times on this channel that it is my roots. It's where I come from. It's my first love. Look at that cutie, cutie, cutie. Look at that cutie. All right, then I need to stitch this up. So what I would do is just fold in a little bit on both sides and pull it together. And then I would do a little bit of try to do an invisible stitch, but I'm not really worried about it because this one's gonna stay with me. So I'm not worried about the closing. Okay, I've got my needle threaded. I am using double strand. A lot of times I would just use one strand and let a tail hang, but I'm not gonna do that today. I'm gonna use double strand. I'm gonna push the stuffing down a little bit so I can get some good traction in here and get this fabric folded. So I'm just gonna fold this in down here with my needle and tuck it in and fold the other side and grab it and come back over to my other side and grab a little bit of fabric. And then pull it as I go. So I'm going to continue all the way to the top and then I'll tie off my threads. Okay, I'm at the ending and I just run my needle and thread through the very top a couple of extra stitches and then take the needle and run it through the thread loop and pull it tight to tie a knot. And then I just take my needle and thread and I stick it in my whatever I'm making and I pull it through to another part of the piece. And then I pull it taut and kind of push down on the fabric and snip it, and then it hides itself inside whatever I'm making. I'm going to put a little bow around her neck. I have some seam binding. That's a darker blue that I was thinking of using to give it some contrast. Then I have some sari ribbon that is a lighter color that I was thinking of using. Kind of think I want the pale one. And you could, if you wanted to, make a tail for your cat. You could take ribbon and tie it and then just wrap it around like this, or braid ribbon or whatever and kind of trail it up and around her body like that. Or you could take some yarn or trim that you've already got and just attach it and trail it around to make a little tail. So let's pretend we need about this much. Hopefully that's enough. And I'm just going to tie a bow. I think that's just adorable. I'm going to leave this one just like this because it's a little prototype, like I said. I just wanted to see how I would feel about it. I absolutely love it. I will be making more, and when I get them all done, I will show you what they look like. I think I'll do one more with you without talking so it goes a little faster, and I might do this tall, skinny one. After you've finished, if you find that you've missed a spot for stuffing, just get a needle and pull it through. Stick it in there and just kind of pull the stuffing to where you need it. There. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make the tall, skinny cat. For this one, I left the bottom open just a little bit. All right, I'm gonna stuff my cat. All right, my little green cat is finished and stuffed and stitched at the bottom. And it is easier to do it when you leave the side seam open for stuffing because you automatically have the fold of the seam to stitch together rather than trying to force a flat piece of fabric twisted under and together. But I do like it both ways, so either way would work. I added a tail to the back of this one with just some, I don't know what it's called. It's like sari ribbon twined together. I don't know what it's called, I'm sorry. But I like the tail. And then I'm gonna add a little pink bow around the neck. So this gives you an idea of what you can do with your cats. And once I get to the ones I'm going to do made, I will show you all of them together at the end of the video. How cute are those? I am back to share with you the cats that I've made since I last left off. And it has been a couple of weeks, so I really don't know the last thing I said to you other than I think I had made these two cats. And I said I was going to make some ornaments. I've changed my mind, but you could make ornaments out of the sizes I've showed you already. I do have the smaller cat pattern. This is the size that it makes. This would be a perfect, cute little size ornament. It's not too hard to work with. Oh, I gotta fix his ear. I didn't pull the point of the ear out very well on this one, so I'll have to fix that. But that's the size that the cat will make. And I think these would be really cute together, kind of like a grouping like this, like that, and set them in a basket or something. They'd be really cute. I've got a basket with some dolls that I've made, and there are different styles in here, some primitive ones. I have a video on these. I think I have a video on these back here. I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna kind of scooch these girls around and try to find a place for my little cats. So now in the grouping of dolls, I've got a few little cats. Just needed some place to put them. Another cat that I made was this one here, the long one, and I just took some muslin and I painted on the fabric all different types of symbols, and I wrote the word cat in all funky kinds of ways, just drew some shapes, that kind of thing. And this is what it looks like. I used gesso on this fabric. I did not use the GAC, which is GAC 900, which is what you mix with paint to make it fabric friendly. I didn't do that, so it's a little stiff, but I don't plan on washing this or wearing it or anything like that, so I'm not even worried about it. If you don't have any fabric paint and you want to make your paint fabric friendly, you can use regular acrylic. Just use GAC 900. It's GAC 900. So I loved doing this, but this is another one of the cats. And then I made a grouping of 4 cats. These are from my friend. I'll be mailing these to her, and I'm gonna make a few more things that are cat related for her to put in her little package. So we'll probably do those together. I just used that one pattern, this one here, and I left the bottom open on hers. I didn't make the stitch in the back, and so the back doesn't have the seam. And I just added a simple heart and a little button, a porcelain button. These buttons were my mom's, and she and my mom were close, so that will kind of represent my mom. And then just a little bow around the neck. And I just used some fabrics that I thought she would like because she likes blue. But these are really cute. Really, really cute. And then I made one more pattern for a cat. I made this big one here. I made this cat for myself. It is kind of a two-sided cat because I didn't want to make a front and back. I wanted to make a front and front. So I just used some fabric, made a circle, and then this little center fabric here with the 3 circles or 4 circles stitched together is something I've made with just fabric scraps. I just cut circles and then stitched around it on my machine. But then I stitched it together and stitched on the cat, and then I added a bow. So this would be the front. I like this the best. So this is the front, and when you turn it over, this is the back. It's another circle with a heart in the middle with a pinwheel and then a button in the middle. And I just think that's really cute. And I'll sit it up against my basket. So that's where I'm at with the cats. I think this is what we're gonna stop at today in this video, but I do think that I will be back to create a cat with you with fabric, and I am going to do some paper. I'm not sure, I haven't decided yet, but this will be part 1, and then I'll be back with part 2 once I get that finished. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great whatever it is, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.